I know what the definition is, but some people in the comments are asking what cis means. Can anyone please explain it?
Cisgender basically means that you identify with the gender that you were assigned at birth. So if when you were born, Claudia, for example, they said it's a girl and you identify as a woman today, you are cisgender. Trans is just the opposite of that. And there are some things in the middle as well, because we have non-binary siblings as well, within the larger umbrella of the gender spectrum. But that's the easiest way.
The cis, CIS, does that stand for something else? Like, is it a shortened word for something
else?
else?
It's not an acronym, I don't think. It's not an acronym.
Shortened for cisgender. So it's shortening for cisgender. So
I just want to know that.
And cis, well, cis is a prefix as well. So cis and trans are prefixes that usually that come from biological terms. So cis meaning on the same side, trans meaning to cross. So that's why like transit or transform, like those are all about crossing, and cis is on the same side. So when we talk about women, I'm gonna tell you why this is sort of, I'll give you a little bit of the inside of why this all came to be, is that trans women are having to constantly qualify and identify our womanhood, and it's unfair. And it's one of those things where it literally is, we're just women. And there are women of so many different sizes, shapes, and hues. So if we want to go into those identifiers and talk across those intersections, lovely. But at the end of the day, we still need to understand we're all women. Some of us have trans experience. Some of us have cis experience. Some of us have experience of being infertile, cis or trans. And so really, it's not, there's so much of this biological argument that's coming from so many ignorant folks. And that's why we need to create these little signifiers just to say, okay, if you're talking about that experience, you can use cis, but let's not use real woman. Let's not say, you know, because I'm a real woman and you this, or even the ways that some Black women would be like, oh man, what? Hey, queen. And it's kind of this thing around really just separate. They're trying to figure out another way so they're not being disrespectful and saying man or drag queen or whatever. So just to be like, oh, I'm cool with you, but I'm still not going to call you a woman or bring you into this sisterhood. So a lot of that has to do with actually cis Black women coming together with trans women and realizing we have way more in common than we have differences.
And I think it's important too to also touch on the fact that our identity, existence, and expression has nothing to do with the hypersexualized notions that Black society continues to impose on us. So me looking like this, me dressing, showing up, has nothing. I was a child, like I could hardly even talk to speak or access language to describe what I was feeling. It had nothing to do with sex. It had nothing to do with the man. It had nothing to do with me trying to compete with cis women or trying to outdo you, beautiful Claudia. Like, it had nothing to do with that. It was just solely me trying to figure out how to be comfortable in my own skin.
And trans women existing does not pose a threat. Our womanhood does not pose a threat to cis. I see that argument frequently bubbling up. And I also think that, you know, reducing yourself, as Angelica was saying, as far as like certain language around, you know, biology or real woman this, real woman that, I think that is also a tool of patriarchy and white supremacy. I don't know if we have time to get into that, but
get into it.
I'm just saying, because it indeed, if you are reducing yourself, like and when I say, how can I say this? When I say reducing, that's not taking away from the acknowledgement, right? So cis women, a lot of them can give birth. A lot of them, you know, they have vaginas, but reducing yourself to those things to define your womanhood is indeed a tool of patriarchy. It is indeed a tool of white supremacy, because aren't you more than that? Isn't that just part of your womanhood?
What do y'all say to women? Because I look at message boards all the time, and I love to read comments, and I love to see the argument, because I think you have to put on the table and you have to dissect it, and you have to, you know, you have to debate your stance, right? What do you say to cisgender women that say, why should I have to rename myself something else when, you know, why should we change the terminology? And I hear this a lot, like, I'm not cis, I'm a woman. You are something different that you chose. What do you say to that? Because that's an argument I see all the time. I'm sure you all have seen that as well, correct?
I say the same thing. Oh, go ahead, Ms. Chalet. Were you about to say? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think it's like science changes, and as science gets better and we find out different things, then that's when terminologies have to come about to explain things, right? And so just because it's cisgender doesn't mean it denotes you as a woman or as a person, but just like, say for instance, at one point, somebody thought the world was flat, but science then proved that it is round with scientific advances. And so just like with gender, it is actually a social construct. So there's male and female, but there's much more to that. And science has now proven that even when you are trans, much when the fetus is in a developmental process, there's two different things that happen at two different times. When your genitalia is is processing, your brain goes off very differently. And so there's something that's called a masculine or testosterone surge, excuse me. And so when the scientists actually, did the experiment on a woman's brain that is trans man, then did a cisgender male's brain, it looked a lot like the same, and vice versa with a trans woman and a cisgender woman. And though the genitalia did not show up as the same.
They're also just prefixes. We're all women. We're all women. Just like saying that you're a Black woman, that Blackness can serve as, you're still a woman. So cis, and a lot of times we should note that these terms are used in academic spaces. No one's asking you to, uproot what your womanhood to be. It's just a prefix.